Today's project is going to be killing, skinning, and gutting 2 pigs for a family that is in our 4-H group. They're on their way with the pigs right now. They're headed over, bringing the pigs here live, and then we will kill them, skin them, gut them, cut them in half, and hang them in a walk-in fridge. So I'm going to show you the tools I use. We're going to show you the process that we do it, and I'm also going to go make a little tour of our home butchering room that we built here years ago. We have the facilities and the equipment to process and package all of our own meat here at home and put it in the freezer. These are the tools I use to skin and gut animals. So this is just a real basic plug-in Sawzall. I really like this one because it's really well sealed. There's not a lot of places for meat and gunk to get in. It comes apart really easily to clean. It's really easy to wash. So this is the saw we use to cut through bone. These are stainless steel. They're made for the purpose. They don't have any paint on them. If you buy your typical Sawzall blade from Home Depot or wherever that's made for wood or metal, it's going to have paint on it. That paint is going to come off on your meat as you're doing it. So stainless steel, the way to go, easy to clean, made for the purpose. These are the 3 knives I'm going to use. I have just your typical boning knife. This is just for cutting the throat to get animals to bleed out. Something with about a 6-inch blade and a sharp tip that can get in there and cut those arteries. The other knife I'm going to use, this one's mine. This is a Havalon knife. This one's the one I use. This brand is Havalon, and it uses disposable scalpel blades. This is the blade that goes on that knife. It's only about 2 inches long, and this is all I need. I can skin a steer, an elk, a pig, lamb, anything with this. This is all I need. The blade just slips on. Now the blade is on, and I have a nice razor sharp knife to use. Sharpening knives is not a skill that I'm really good at, so this is super easy. I buy 100 pack of these blades every couple years. As soon as it starts getting dull, I take that off and put on a new one. No sharpening, no nothing. Easy peasy. This is my wife's skinning knife. This one's made by Outdoor Edge. Has the same principle, replaceable blades. These ones, the blades have a little different shape, but it's the same principle. You just slip in a new one when one gets dull, and she really likes this shape, and I like the other shape. You can kind of see the difference in the shape, and it's just personal preference. I started using this one, so that's what I like now. That's what I'm used to. She's always used that one, so that's what she likes, and that's what she's used to. But these are great options if knife sharpening isn't a skill you're really good at, or you don't want to mess with, or you don't want to buy really expensive skinning knives. This is our skinning and gutting space. I built this years ago. Real cheap shop winch from Harbor Freight, I think it was. Runs on 110 volt. I just brought power out here. That bar up there is about 14 feet off the ground. And if I could do it over again, I'd go up another 5 and make it at a bigger pipe. Hanging a steer up here, which if you go to the 7 Sigma Off-Grid YouTube channel, there's a video on there where they came and watched us kill a steer. A full-size steer, 1,200 pound animal, when they're hanging up there, their nose is touching the ground. I wish I would have made that a little taller. So if you're gonna make your own, it might seem like overkill and you don't need it, but I would make that top bar at least 18 feet. We put concrete down here for a lot of years. We just had dirt, and We got some concrete delivered, and I ordered a little extra and threw it out here. Super nice, not having to stand in the mud and be able to rinse all the blood and stuff off and out of the way. This is our food prep and butchering room. This space is 20 by 30, and this is where we do all of our meat cutting. And it's a nice big space with a big sink and open countertops for doing canning or making beer, stuff like that. Most of this stuff I found just on Craigslist or Facebook Marketplace. 3-compartment sink, the table. I actually had a bunch of these and had to sell them off to other buddies of mine. Stainless steel tables. We kind of got a lot of onions starts waiting today. This afternoon, hopefully these will go in the ground. Get them out of here. Bandsaw, meat cutting bandsaw. Found this online fairly cheap. Had to buy a single phase motor for it to replace the 3-phase motor that was in it. Runs like a champ. Chamber sealer. We just got that from somebody and started using it. It's pretty cool. But we have everything. We have everything we need. This is all my seasonings, tubs, grinder, mixer, slicer parts. We have the ability to do everything that we want to do here. This is my walk-in fridge. This fridge is 6 foot by 6 foot by 6 foot. I got this from a Subway restaurant that was getting new fridges years ago. Bought it fairly inexpensively. This thing runs on 110 volts. It's 8 amps, very efficient, doesn't draw a lot of power. I put a vent back there in the wall because it gets hot in here with that thing running during the summer. But this space is just enough for us to be able to hang one steer. I can fit about 3 pigs in here. I got some paper down to keep the blood off the floor. I can put 6 lambs in there. I just put these racks on top by putting big channel iron on top of the fridge, running eye bolts down and putting this 1/2-inch pipe through it. So this is where we hang all of our stuff. This fridge also works out well in the summer if we need to store a bunch of vegetables or fruit to have cold space. And this is a fridge, not a freezer. It does not get down to freezing temperature. It'll get down to about 34, which is great for hanging meat. And this spot right here is where we're going to put the thing to hang it on. So we don't want to cut through this tendon. It's got to stay intact. So I'm just slipping the tip of that knife under the skin and cutting just the skin like a zipper, not cutting into meat or fat, and then just slowly filleting it back. So this spot is the spot we're trying to preserve. You don't want to cut through this tendon right here. That's where we're going to end up sticking the deal to hold it up. It's right through there. So we just got to do both sides. Oh, that's a big pig. 397. That's a big girl. So we're going to come in under the skin without cutting into the abdominal cavity. Go all the way down. To the cut I made in the throat, down there. And then you just start, put some tension on it, and start shaving that skin back without taking muscle and fat with it. You want to leave as much fat, you want to leave as much fat and muscle on the carcass as possible, because that outside layer is going to get dry while it's hanging, and that's the part we're going to cut off. We can always take off more later. We can't add back any that we took now. So we're just going to start doing this the whole way around.
I tie the 2 front feet to something to keep it from spinning on me as I'm working. Now we've skinned the hide back to where we meet the tail. Once you get to the tail, I just keep peeling back along the hams until I can get to the rectum, and then just cut straight through the rectum, and then find a joint in the tail and just cut right through the joint in the tail with my knife. Now that the skin is off completely, we're going to get into the body cavity. First, I'm going to expose the hips. So I'll cut through the meat down to the pelvis. There's a little bit of bone there. And then I'm also going to expose the rib cage. Now I'm just cutting meat, not bone. I'll get my saw out to cut through the bone. Now I'm just going to cut through the pelvis with my saw and then move on to the rib cage and the sternum with my saw blade angled down. Everything on that side of the diaphragm is just heart and lungs. If you get into that with your blade a little bit, that's okay. Some people eat the heart and lungs. Cut up until you reach the end of the rib cage. You'll feel a change in the saw blade, and you stop there so you don't get into the abdominal cavity. Now I'm going to gently cut through this outer layer of fat, being careful not to cut the abdominal wall at this point. I'm going to hold my knife with my finger on the tip to push the guts back into the body cavity as I cut up and cut through the abdominal wall now. Just being real careful here not to cut into any organs. And then get up and cut all the way around the rectum, and then grab it and pull it towards you and start cutting behind it at all the connective tissue. Once you start doing this, gravity will take over and most of those organs will start to fall out as you peel the diaphragm away from the rib cage. And there it is, all done. Now we're going to split it in half with a saw.
All right, all done with pigs for the day. Got laundry going. Took apart my stuff and cleaned it. And we've got 2 pigs hanging in here.
You can definitely see the size difference in the 300-pound pig versus the 400-pound pig. They've got a real nice layer of fat which we're going to keep to make our own lard. Hopefully, this video was helpful. When I started doing this, there was no YouTube videos or nobody to show me. It was kind of sink or swim. You can't learn unless you do. You might just have a tree branch and a rope to do this on, and that's okay. Just get out there and give it a shot. Enlist a neighbor or somebody that can help you, give you some advice along the way. I'm going to go grab a beer and sit down. Have a good one. Bye.